This is the Perfect RIA, in case you didn't know. Bringing you all the strategies to help your business grow. Are you happy? Are you satisfied? Are you hanging on the edge of your seat? Sit back and listen in while you feel the beat, yeah. Another myth bites the dust.
Hello, TPR Nation. This is Amber Kuhn from the Perfect RIA. Thank you for joining me on today's Follow-Up Friday. On Monday's throwback episode, Matt and Micah were talking about the prospect process and prospect meetings. One of the reasons they get so excited about these meetings is because it's an opportunity to transform someone's life and add so much value to them in an hour. The guy said that you have to get so aware of delivering massive value that it becomes a subconscious thought. And then your active thought is paying attention to the micro expressions of your prospect. And consider how much time you're spending on listening versus talking in these meetings. And look at how you make this a better experience for the prospect, because they aren't interested in your life story. They want someone who will help them reach their goals. The guys went into a common mistake with prospect meetings, which is all sizzle, no steak, where they gave the example of cooking a hamburger and having this big flame from the grease. But no one cares about that. People want the hamburger, not the flame. So when a prospect comes to you, they have a concern they need solved. Everything else that you share is just that sizzle. You need to be focused on their concern, and you need to make sure that you're getting the prospect's questions and answering those. Matt will start every meeting with, please tell me what questions and concerns are on your mind, not what questions do they have. And he's not talking about himself. And by doing this, he can see where the prospect is at emotionally and physically. Micah's team will reach out in advance of the prospect meeting to get their questions. And also during the meeting, he's asking those what else questions. Now, they pointed out something important. At no time during the meeting is their goal to get hired. It's to deliver massive value to the prospect. And this is something that you can 100% control, because you can control whether a prospect chooses to become a client. They also pointed out that if someone comes to you or you get a referral from a client or COI and they aren't a good fit, you should never feel put out, because this is still an opportunity to practice and deliver massive value. Now, Micah said that they have processes for the value they deliver. So when a prospect comes in, they have a prospect process that they follow for every step of the way, for the meeting, during, and after. By the time that prospect comes in for a meeting, they've already have multiple touch points. Matt will also share a list of questions to ask every advisor, which, reminder to our members, we have this in our member site. By doing this, he's taking those routine questions out of the meeting so that they can focus on the prospect's goals. And with the questions you ask, Micah said you have to draw a line between your questions and how it values the prospect. Also, record those meetings and see how your prospect is responding to the questions. And if there's a situation where a prospect currently has a strategy, but it isn't the right one for them, bring this up as a question, such as, can I offer a different way for you to think about this? It sets the ego aside to where the prospect will be open to listening. It's giving that permission. You also want to make sure that you're validating the prospect and what they've done so far, and stress the importance that it's their money and their life savings. Now, for delivering value in the prospect meetings, you can't look at these meetings as just information gathering. You want to start with the prospect's questions and concerns. And with those questions, you want to acknowledge them and then answer them when you have all the context and information. Don't rush to give an answer. Now, when you're setting expectations for the meeting, Micah will also state that the prospect did a great job of giving him information, which he has reviewed. But sometimes what he's found is that he hears a different answer than he sees. And is it okay if he asks questions, even if that information has been provided? So he's explaining why he's asking questions, because a prospect wants to know you understand their situation, and it also establishes your credibility. The guys wrapped up with when it's okay to talk about yourself as an advisor. At the end of the meeting, you can ask the prospect, what questions and concerns do you have about me? You want to make sure that you don't respond to a prospect or client stories with too much of a story of your own either. Look to see where you might be commandeering the conversation to talk about yourself. Let's get into action items. Look at how much of your prospect meeting is spent talking about yourself versus being focused on the prospect's needs and listening and watching for their reactions. Make sure that you have a templated process that can be applied to every prospect. And lastly, make sure that you're taking notes in your meetings and keep a tally for every question you ask and every statement you make to be aware of what you're doing. On Thursday, Jamie was talking about the importance of documentation and how to avoid mistakes when it comes to this. Jamie shares how she's had a lot of success hiring people who are prior medical professionals. She said there's a lot of crossover from this field that translates well for financial advisors. One of the things that she took from the medical world is that if it's not documented, it's not done. So they took this when they created their own CRM with a system that includes all their client information. And this is also where they run their value adds. This truly is their brain trust. So it has their blueprints, processes, and tasks as well. Jamie stated that the number one reason from other advisors who've been in a situation where they've been fined, suspended, or lost their license was because something wasn't documented. Documentation saves your career and it saves you from potential problems. At Shalansky & Associates, everyone is responsible for documenting things. So all three pods, the advisors, relationship managers, and operations are all interacting with clients. So anytime they talk with a client, they document this with a specified format. So if a client comes into their office to drop off documentation, it's not only noted, but it also requires action to be taken as well. Now, there are situations where notes are just notes. So one of the other things Jamie took from the medical world is the SOAP format for note-taking, which is subjective, objective, assessment, and plan. And this is also part of the training that they do for their employees and what she trains new advisors to do when they're recording their dictation after meeting with clients. Jamie then broke down what each area of the SOAP format is. So for subjective, it's the thoughts and the feelings. Objective is what actually has to happen. So taking those emotions out of it and focusing on what the true needs are. The assessment goes through the technical part, and the plan will be outlined based on what information the advisor has and what the recommendation is. This captures all the information, and that dictation should articulate the meeting so well that everyone on the team knows what's happening with the client. She also said that if the team doesn't have to come back to you to ask follow-up questions based on your dictation, then you have done it successfully, because then they can go and carry out their actions. Now, she said with this, don't use any type of acronym either. If you use them, that increases the chance for misinterpretation. Now, once Jamie finishes her notes, she adds a line for what the next step is and what needs to happen. And this empowers her team to get things done. She also shared that advisors are required to get their dictation in within 2 days. And from that transcription that's created, which gets cleaned up and tasks are pulled and processes are started, if there aren't clear instructions within that dictation, it's the responsibility of the person doing the dictation to go back to the advisors to get those instructions. Documenting within your office is incredibly powerful. But Jamie said this isn't something that people instinctively know how to do. It requires training. But all of this helps to elevate the client experience because you're helping your team members and it provides a more concierge level of financial planning to your clients. Let's get into action items. Remember, if it's not documented, it's not done. And for the SOAP format, set up a mock meeting memo with the SOAP format and give everyone in your office a template. And when your next search meeting wraps up, randomly choose names and have everyone read dictation from the meeting and look to see whether they understand what happened and what the actions are that are needed. Before we go, TPR Nation, if you're ready to grow and dramatically impact your life and those around you and you want resources to help, reach out to us at lifestyleoftheperfectria.com or you can visit theperfectria.com/grow. That wraps up this week's recap. Thank you for joining me, and please share this or any of our episodes with another advisor or team member who you think might benefit from listening. And be sure to subscribe to the Perfect RIA podcast so you don't miss an episode. Until next time, happy planning.
Hold on before we go. Something that you need to know. This isn't tax, legal, or investment advice. That isn't our intent. Information designed to change lives. Financial planning can make you thrive. Start today, don't think twice. Be a better husband, father, mother, and wife. The Perfect RIA, the